Good evening to everyone in Ghana and Europe. Good afternoon to my people in Northern America. I welcome you to the second of our Opportunity Hub series that work and study opportunities for medical lab professionals. And that I'm hoping that this program is going to be exciting and that everyone else is ready. So a brief intro about Ghanaian medical lab scientists in the diaspora. There is a community that seeks to bring together Ghanaian professionals with a background in medical lab science, either abroad or with valid international credentials, affiliated to international professional bodies to connect, network, grow as a community to be reckoned with. This will be to providing a support system to professionals abroad and back home. So to be a member, you have to be an international student, a practicing professional in healthcare, academia, industry, law, government, journalism, policy, criminal justice, technology, among others, outside Ghana, with valid international credentials affiliated to international bodies and could be in Ghana regardless. So this afternoon and evening, we would also acknowledge our president, which is Akwesi Bwedi, Frank Ejarida, as organizer, myself as the moderator and PRO. I'm Jordan Martin, by the way. Richard Owusu Ansah, Godsway Aglago, Emmanuel Quenin, our IT support. And then I'm with our chapter reps. We have Stephen Atombo, Dixon Kwade, and Dr. Raji Samsudin as our reps in Ghana. Frank Ejare Dakun for Europe chapter. For the US, we have Derek Safon, and then UK, Dr. Desmond Bakibe Alo, Frank Baswa, Prince Enchi. And I have my two panelists as the reps for Canada, Akia Brimpoma Labi and Kwabdan Boate. So without wasting too much time, Akia, are you ready this evening?
Thank you, George. Yes, I'm ready.
Okay, so what do you have for us?
Okay. Hi, everyone. Would like to welcome you once again to this Opportunity Hub series. As already said, my name is Ekia Labi, and I'm one of the reps for Canada chapter. So today I'll be talking to you about how to be certified as a foreign trained medical laboratory scientist, or as it is referred to here, an internationally educated medical laboratory technologist. Okay, so CSMLS, which is the Canadian Society for Medical Laboratory Sciences, offers a national certification examination. So as an internationally educated medical laboratory technologist, you must first be deemed eligible to write this examination. And then there is a process. You have to be eligible through this process called a prior learning assessment, okay, which is a PLA, prior learning assessment. So this process evaluates your academic credentials, your clinical training, your work.
Now you want us to just talk about the agenda and then kind of flow through that? You don't mind, please?
So yes, you can give us the agenda. If you can put a slide on the page.
Yeah, just before Nana goes, let's just give you guys the agenda and then Nana, you can just go. Is that okay?
Yes.
Yeah, so basically the agenda is on the screen. As you can see, the first point we'll be talking about the pathway to Canada, and the second.
I can't see the agenda.
You can see?
No.
Can you see?
Yes.
Yeah, I think it's on.
Yeah, so basically we will focus, the first one will be the pathway to Canada, and the second section of the presentation will focus on pathway to CSMLS certification as a foreign trained MLS. And this is where we're going to talk about the prior learning assessment, and also we have testimonial individuals that have gone through this process. And the last category, we're going to talk about career prospecting and labor market outlook in Canada. And I think, as George has introduced us, my name is Kwabna Boateng. and I'm actually lived in Canada. I would like to thank my dad. He brought me here when I was a very, very young. So I did all my education in Canada. So and currently I'm actually working in a hospital. So I have quite a bit of in-depth knowledge about Canada, the lab, the landscape, and everything. So just even before we jump in, let's talk a little bit about some acronyms within the lab world so that if we start using these acronyms within the presentation, we'll have an idea what we're talking about. So the first one will be CSMLS. So this is a Canadian Society of Medical Lab Science and is the national certifying body of medical laboratory technologists and technicians in Canada. We also are going to highlight few citations from MLPAO, and the MLPAO is the Medical Lab Professional Association of Ontario, which is the certifying body for medical lab assistants slash technicians in the province of Ontario, not entire Canada, just Ontario. And also we have CMLTO. So the CMLTO is the College of Medical Laboratory Technologists of Ontario, and is the regulatory body for medical technologists in Ontario specifically. We also uses MLT specifically in Canada, and that means medical lab technologist. And I know in Ghana and other parts of the world, we uses the medical lab scientist, which is the MLS. And MLT slash MLA in Canada, mostly they use medical lab assistant slash technician. If you ask me what is the reason behind that, that is still a big debate. So those are sort of our acronyms that we use just to give you a bit of a background. And the next slide, we're going to be actually bringing Akuya in to continue what she was trying to say. Akuya, go ahead.
Okay, thank you, Kwabena. Okay,
Okay,
so
just not to cut you short,
mhm.
just for you to know, we have people from Cameroon, Canada, Germany, Ghana, Greece, Grenada, India, Japan, Kenya, South Korea, Malawi, Nigeria, Poland, Russia, UK, and the US joining us. Just for you to know. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you everyone for joining us. Thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate you. Okay, so as I was saying initially, so the CSMLS, which is the Canada Society for Medical Laboratory Science, offers the National Certification Examination. And as an internationally educated medical laboratory technologist, you must be first deemed eligible to write this examination. And the process for you to become eligible is called the Prior Learning Assessment, which is the PLA. So this assessment, what it does is that it evaluates your academic credentials, your clinical training, and your clinical work experiences. So there are actually 3 stages in the PLA process. We have the pre-assessment, the assessment, and then the post-assessment. Actually, the CSMLS has provided a PLA handbook on their website, which contains all the information that you will need about the PLA process, how to upload your documents and everything. And then at the back of that handbook, there's an application form. So you will fill that application form and then you submit it to CSMLS together with your payment. So the pre-assessment stage of the PLA process consists of you filling that application form, paying your PLA fees, and then submitting, all your documents. Okay, so that's the pre-assessment stage. So for the assessment stage, after you are done with sending everything, that is stage 2, that's the assessment stage. So with that stage, an assessor will review your file, and then they'll compare your medical laboratory education and experiences with a competency profile. Now, this competency profile is found on the website of CSMLS, and it is the minimum standard for practice for medical laboratory technologists in Canada. So they will compare your med lab education and all your experiences to this competency profile, okay? So after this, then we go to stage 3. Now, stage 3 is post-assessment. So this is when everything has been done, and then they give you your technical report. That's your PLA technical report, okay? And then for this technical report, it has just, there are just 3 outcomes for the PLA process, okay? So your technical report can either say that you are equivalent, like after they have assessed your education and your experiences, the first outcome can be that you are equivalent to the competency profile for Canada, and you are therefore eligible to write the medical laboratory technologist examination and also the medical laboratory assistant examination. The second outcome can be that they'll say you are not equivalent to the MLT competency profile in Canada, and therefore they will assign you a learning plan. Okay, and then the learning plan, they themselves will give you a learning plan that will help to fill any gap that they found in your education. So after you are done with that, there is also a third outcome, which is that you are not equivalent at all. And so with that, you have to take a full accredited Canadian medical laboratory technology education program before you be eligible to write the exams. So when all this is done and you get your technical report, if you're eligible to write the exams, they will let you know. If you're not eligible, they will let you know, and then they will let you know the way forward with that, okay? And then after that, they will let you know that, oh, you're eligible to write the exam. So this is a summary of everything that I just said. So as an internationally trained medical laboratory scientist, you first have to review the prior learning assessment handbook, which can be found on the CSMLS website. After reviewing that handbook, you get all the information you need, all the documents you need to submit and everything. So after you've done that, you apply and then you pay. Then your prior learning assessment begins. So when you are done, that is when they'll let you know whether you're eligible or you're not eligible. If you're eligible, that's fine. You just challenge the examination and pass. If you're not eligible, you are either going to complete a learning plan and challenge the exams, or you have to take a full course altogether. Okay, so everything I've said is found on their website, but we have some colleagues who have gone through the process themselves. They've gone through the process of the MLT certification with CSMLS, and would like them to share their experiences with us. So I would like to introduce my colleague George, who is the moderator, to take over and talk about his experience in applying for the certification. George.
All right, thank you, Nana. That was a beautiful presentation. So with the experience, initially when you start, it kind of seems daunting. It's like being asked to walk from here to Afghanistan barefooted, but if you put your mind to it, I think you can do it, because some people have done it, and then everyone else can do it. So with the pre-assessment, that is when you provide all the necessary documents. And then some of the documents are, first you have to complete a prior learning assessment, outline self-assessment, sorry. And then you would also have to send your educational transcripts to WES, that is World Education Service, or ICAS, International Credentials Assessment Service of Canada, to be evaluated to see if it's up to the Canadian standard. They would also need your course outline or syllabus of studies, your clinical MLT education. That is so for my folks in Ghana, that is like a summary of everything that you did during your national service. And then your work experience, that is if you are employed or if you are actively working. They would also need your professional certificates, that is your CPD. And if you've had any continuing education, they would need that. Then you would your professional development. That one is the only document that you can submit by yourself. The rest have to be submitted either by your school, the where you're working, or any other official institution. For all the other documents that I said, those ones need to be provided by official institutions. You can't send them to CSMLS by yourself. It's only your professional development that you can send. Then that is so from your pre-learning from your pre-assessment, you go to the assessment. That is when they are going to scan your documents to see if they are genuine or not, if you are going to be eligible or not. And then the last stage, that is the post-assessment. And then I think Ekia said everything about that. So I did mine from Canada. And then thankfully, we have one gentleman, Isaac, who started his process way back as 2021 in Ghana. So Isaac is also going to walk us through how he went about it. Isaac, are you online? Hello, Isaac. It seems Isaac is not available at the moment. So Kwabna, can you take over, and then anytime Isaac is around, we will let him talk to us.
Yeah, I thought Isaac was online, but I guess he's not. So let's just backtrack, go back to the agenda so we kind of get a clear path before I continue with the career prospect in the labor market. So when it comes to the pathways to come to Canada, there's an express entry, and this is the most common way to usually come, or this is the most popular pathway to come in. And basically, as I said, we're not really an immigration officer, so we can't really speak too much on these areas, but these are something that you can really consult an immigration officer, or you can do your own research in terms of the express entry coming into Canada with the CSMLS. Also, you can come into Canada through the school route and also sponsorship. So once you are in Canada, you can do your prior learning assessment as George went through. And there was a gentleman that also was in Ghana that was able to do their prior learning assessment while they were in their home country. And not necessarily just Ghana alone, but any country that you find yourself, you can still be able to go ahead and do the prior learning assessment through CSMLS website. So now I'll bring you back to the career prospect. So this one, we got quite a bit of slide. I'm gonna go a bit of in-depth into what is currently happening in Canada. So the screen that you see here is Canada map. And pretty much overall, when it comes to Canadian Society of Medical Laboratory Science, they only have 13,983 members. So there's less than 14,000 members altogether with the CSMLS. And this include medical laboratory technologists and also medical laboratory technicians. So in total, 13,983. So if you look at these color codes
Sorry, I
here,
don't
that
know if your slide is working because I'm not seeing
slide, can you
now.
guys see?
Yeah, it's working now.
Yeah, when I go to presentation mode, it's a little bit, I think some people cannot see it. So let's bear with me and let's maybe use this
Yeah, now
for,
it's fine. It's fine.
right. So this is the entire Canada map. And as you can see, it's distributed based on medical laboratory technologists and technicians across different provinces. So altogether, there's 13,983 members. And as you can see, it's all divided into different provinces and territories. So let's take Ontario, for example, which is right here in the middle. It has the most medical technologists, which is about 2,469. And also you have technicians, about 773, and others on the right side here, which it talks about people that are not practicing, people who are retired, and also associates or affiliated. So it just kind of sums it up for you. And also, interestingly, outside of Canada, we have about 95 people that are CSMLS members, which are medical technologists, and then technicians, we have about 8. And others, there's about 176. So altogether, outside Canada, we have about 279. Just wanted to give you a landscape of Canada and what is happening with the medical lab technologist technician distribution. So this is also a very, very interesting slide that I pulled from Canadian Occupational Projection System. And basically, this slide, what it's telling you is that there's a demand in Canada right now as we speak. So it said for medical lab technologists and medical technicians and pathology assistants, over the period of 2022 to 2031, new job openings arising from expansion, demands, and replacements are expected to be total about 25,600. Why 23,800 new job seekers arising from school leavers, immigration, and mobility are expected to be available to be filled? And I think I highlighted this for a reason. It says the labor shortage conditions seen in recent years is expected to persist into 2022 to 2031. So if you look at it in the next 10 years or so, there's going to be a deficit in terms of medical lab technologists in Canada to fill some of these roles. And as I go along, I'm going to show you different slides to talk about different areas and where some challenges are continued to be in Canada. So this specific slide here came from MLPO. And MLPO, when they survey the hospitals and the private labs in Canada, what they found out was that, and they did this survey in 2022. So they wanted to better understand the current staffing challenges facing Ontario labs. And they found out that about 41.3% of medical lab technologists in Ontario are approaching retirement. This is just one province in Canada. In Canada, we have 10 provinces and 3 territories. So just one out of the 13, we have about 41.3% retiring in Ontario alone. So as you move on to different areas, you can see these numbers are getting bigger and wider. So it just tells you that there's a high demand of medical lab technologists in Canada, and anyone that's really want to come to Canada, for sure, there's going to be job availabilities for you. I also wanted to add this slide to sort of give you a landscape of what is happening across. And this one here is specifically Ontario. This is not Canada-wide. This is just one province in Ontario. So when they did the survey, what they found out was that 58% stated that they are short, and because of these shortages, there's a critical turnaround time that is being impacted. One area that I really wanted to highlight is the second bullet point, which is saying that 74% of the job openings are unfilled longer than 3 months. And I myself can testify to that. We post a medical lab technology job, you can't find nobody. Sometime 6 months, we're scrambling for people to even apply. We can't find people within the community in Canada to apply. And I'm talking about Ontario. But as you move towards other provinces, which is very remote areas, you're going to see even higher numbers. And as we can see, the third bullet point talks about 72% of vacancies are MLT vacancies, which has increased from 68% in 2022. 82% of these openings are in remote areas. And what that means is that if you look at Ontario, Toronto is the capital. So as you move towards outskirts, any 4 hours drive from Toronto, it will be continuing to become a remote area. So these areas are struggling right now in terms of finding medical lab technologists to work in those areas. And I'm going to show you one slide later on where one company, how they're trying to recruit. And as you go on, the last bullet point here, 311 opening MLT positions are down from 401. So in 2022, there was 401 jobs just in Ontario that cannot be filled. And as of 2023, when they did the survey, that has brought it down to 311. That's quite significant. That's just one province. So as you move on to other provinces and you start telling these numbers, it kind of paint the whole entire picture to you. So in a nutshell, the MLPO, after they did this survey, they had a call to action, meaning that what are they going to do next? So this is the proposal. It says that the critical shortage of medical lab technologists in the province of Ontario continues. The supply cannot meet the demand of the vacant positions. Pretty much the supply is outweighing the demand. The number of new MLT that graduate who register with the CMLTO is approximately 200 a year. And just basically this slide is summarizing that this is the situation currently in Canada, just Ontario alone. Other provinces not even included. Let's move on to this slide here. This one is it's a continuation of the old slide. So the research sort of kind of started breaking it down to see where the impacts are. So if you look at here, this is the total unfilled lab positions. This is total between medical lab technologists and medical lab technicians, those combined. In the remote area, there was 11. The rural areas, 91, and the mid-sized urban areas was 115, and the large urban areas about 215. So in total, it was about 432. And out of this 432, the medical lab technologists alone was 311 in Ontario province alone. Quite significant numbers that we're seeing here. Let's move on to the next slide. I think some people might be very happy with this one. I wish I can put this in the presentation mode. Can you guys see in the presentation mode or no?
We can see it.
Okay, so this is actually came from a Canadian government website, and I just wanted to highlight the wage grade. And this is entire Canada-wide. I wanted to showcase to you the entire wage grade. when you get hired as a medical lab technologist. So Canada-wide, our median hourly pay is $36. If you are become a medical lab technologist, your pay will be $36 as a median average for the entire Canada. The lower rate is about $25 Canadian an hour, and then the highest rate will be $45 an hour Canada-wide. This is the 2023 data, so I believe right now the numbers has even probably gone up. And as you start going through these different provinces, you can see that different areas has different pay grade. Let's take British Columbia, for example. The median is about $37. Alberta has about $44, Saskatchewan 38. And you can see that the numbers are really, it varies. And this is all based on cost of living. So for example, if you live in Alberta, the cost of living in Ontario might also be a little bit higher. So they will pay you based on that. If you live in a province like Quebec, the cost of living might be a little bit lower. So based on that, your rate median will be around $30.77. So all these numbers are based on the standard of living and the quality of living and the expenses in that particular province. So I just wanted to showcase to you the pay grade for medical lab technologists in different provinces across Canada. This data, I also thought that was a pretty good outlook in terms of the next 3 years. And this is the current data that came out in November 29th, 2023. So pretty recent data. And also it takes the whole entire landscape of all the provinces in Canada, and they're trying to determine whether they're in good projection in terms of career, job prospect, and career advancement. So as you can see, if we take a look at Alberta, it's looking around 4 stars, which is very good. As you move downwards to Manitoba, it's a very remote area. The job prospect is very good. And Newfoundland and Labrador, which is a very northern part of Canada, is also very moderate. So as you can see Ontario, very strong candidate for medical lab technologies, job projection. Quebec is also pretty good, and Saskatchewan. So it tells you that within the next 3 years or more, these provinces are very solid in terms of job prospect for medical lab technologists. This also kind of highlights a next 10 years projection. And I think I've talked a little bit about this between 2022 to 2031. And this is also came from the Canadian government job website. So this is the labor market condition over the next 10 years. So if you look at it, pretty much what it's saying is that, I'll read the summary to you. This occupational group is expected to face labor shortage condition over the period of 2022 to 2031 at the national level. So in general, there's going to be a labor shortage for the next 10 years. So if you are thinking, if you're back home or wherever you are across the world, and you really want to come to Canada and practice as a medical lab technologist, the hope is very high for the next 10 years or more. And as I said, I lived here and I can really feel the impact that we're having across hospitals across in Canada. Yeah. Can you guys still see the slides?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, good. So let's also look at employment categories in terms of, because anytime that we're looking for jobs, we're always looking for job security and also a permanent full-time job. So these are also coming from a CSMLS website. And if you look at it in terms of permanent employment, if you finish medical laboratory science program or school, or if you're certified with the CSMLS, there's a 90% permanent employment rate that for sure you're going to get a job permanent. Temporary is about 2.9%, and the casual job, some people might work in one hospital and they would like to work on another hospital as well. That's about 6.6%. So the prospect looks pretty good. And you can see that the top places of employment is always the general hospital. We're looking around 75% or more, which is also, once you get into hospital, that's a government job. And most of these places are unionized environments. So once you're in there.
Abna, can you please move the slides? We are still stuck on the.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, okay. You can see now?
Yes, please.
Yes. Yeah.
So this is the one I was talking about in terms of the employment category. So 90% permanent employment, and the rest also is there. And the majority of the job, you can find them at the hospital sector. And as I said, once you get into a hospital job in Canada, that's a very golden opportunity. There's one lady that I used to work with. She started work when she was 20 years old. after she finished 30 years of work, she was able to take a full pension package. So by the time of 50 years old, she was able to leave. So usually working in a hospital is a very, very lucrative job in Canada because of the pension plan that we have in place. So as a medical lab technologist, being able to have a full-time job and being able to work in a hospital, I believe that that's a very, very lucrative job if you find yourself in Canada. And this is all can be found at the CSMLS website. I thought this was a very, very interesting data that I got from a Glassdoor. And this is just a one example, but as you go through, Indeed and the Glassdoor and different places where they're posting these jobs, you're gonna find that the desperation is so real. So this hospital here is Kapuskasing, Ontario. So this is not even in different provinces. This is Ontario, northern area of Ontario. And right now they are offering $20,000 relocation bonus just to move there and work. So basically, if you move there, you're gonna have a 20,000 signing bonuses. You're also gonna have a relocation support that can assist you finding accommodation, and also you find a small hospital within the various areas. So this is for real, and I encourage everyone once we finish with the presentation, go into Indeed or even Glassdoor to verify all this information. So I've talked a little bit more about what is going on in Canada and also all the shortages that is happening. So what is the government doing about it? What is the government bodies, CSMLS, MLPO, CMLTO, all these bodies, what are they doing about it? And it's quite interesting for the last couple of years after the COVID, our MLPO president, Michelle Hold, Christine Nielsen, also CSMLS president, they took over Queen Street, and Queen Street is in Toronto, downtown. So they have a big advocacy group where all these individuals will go to lobby with the government to saying that we need more funding for the lab field. So this image that you can see here is just an image that they are in the Queen Street advocating for the lab, advocating for the profession. And there's a couple of people that I know from here. I see John over here. So this is for real. And basically, right now, the government is beginning to pay attention to the field and just healthcare in general. So you can see that one implementation that they did that I thought was pretty brilliant. That this article here, this was 2020, May 21st, 2024. So very recent. So they call this thing Ontario Land and State Grants. So what that means is that in Ontario, if you are a student that from a high school and you like to go to college or university to become medical lab technologist, then the government is going to cover your school fees and also your books. Not all the schools though, they have a very specific schools that they have selected, and those are in the northern region of Ontario. So for example, Cambridge College, for example, is in the Sudbury. It's about 3-4 hours away from Toronto. So that area, they get an incentive to take students. So when they come in there, they will pay their school fees and also their books and all those things for them. And once they finish, they will have to stay for about 5 years or so to just making sure that whatever that the government invested in them, they also give it back to the community. And these are some of the strategies that you're using so they will be able to attract people to go to these remote areas to be able to practice. So they'll be able to help them also alleviate some of the stress that we are having. So we're just coming to the conclusion, but I'll just pause here to see if we have Isaac on the line so he can also give his experience about his CSMLS and PLA pathway. So Isaac, I'm not sure if you're still here, if you're with us.
Yeah, I'm here. I'm on the line.
Okay, Isaac, so go in and give us your experience in terms of your PLA journey, starting from Ghana.
Yes, thank you very much, Kwabena. And good evening or good afternoon to everyone. My PLA journey began in 2021 back in Ghana. I remember I started around the month of October. No, around the month of October, yes. So that is why I started gathering my documents. So I started gathering my documents from KMUST, where I completed my tertiary, and then basically it was about my transcript and then my course outline. Okay, so it was sent directly to CSMLS, and then again it was sent directly to WES. So this is what I did. And then after that, Wes had to do a credential evaluation of my academic transcript and then degree certificate. And then they forwarded the feedback to CSMLS. So CSMLS had my evaluation. And again, CSMLS will require a language proficiency evaluation. So once Wes confirms that your training or your academic training was done in English, that part of the language proficiency evaluation is waived for you. So IELTS or TOEFL was waived for me because academic instruction was in English. And then afterwards, I took my OSA, which is the online self-assessment. It was 100 multiple choice objective questions. And then after that, actually, I was told that the OSA was not a way of, say, assessing or grading me. It was just to really tell if PLA was suitable for me or not. And so I remember I didn't do well in digital technology and transfusion. I reached out to CSMLS and they said it wasn't part of what they were going to use to assess me. They just wanted to know if PLA was right for me or not. And so I took the OSA. Right after the OSA, they started requesting for my documents. So I remember sending, and like George mentioned early on, they require that you don't send documents to them personally. It has to come from the issuing institutions. And I think that is the difficult aspect of the whole thing. So after sending my OSA and then receiving my credential evaluation from West, the next thing was to send my clinical education, which was basically my internship and then my professional development. So basically, it had to do with all the professional education programs that I have attended or workshops that I have attended in the past. And I think this should not be more than 5 years old. So you make sure that whatever certificate you are sending to CSMLS should not be more than 5 years from the day or from the time you attended a workshop or the training. And then, of course, a professional certificate from the Allied Health Professions Council, which detailed a certified true copy of my certificate and also a letter of good standing from the registrar. Then again, I also sent letters of work experience from my current and then past employers. So that was where I was working and then all other places I've worked before. Then the last but not the least is a personal competency rating booklet. This was a booklet which you had to fill. Okay, it's basically detailed some of the things that you undertake in the lab, which had to do with safety, which had to do with sample collection, and a whole lot of things. You had to fill them and mail it back to CSMLS. So basically, this is what I did. And like Pierre said, when the PLA is opened for you, it expires after 2 years. So it means you have a space of 2 years to work to get all these documents, to write your online self-assessment, and then be able to mail all these documents to CSMLS for them to give you a feedback, which in this case is the technical report. In my case, I remember the first time I applied for the PLA was on January 2022. Then I had my first PLA report in July 2022. Of course, the report came out and then I did not meet the Canadian standard. And so I had to undergo a learning plan. So I was given a list of institutions to choose from, which helped me undergo my learning plan, say bridging program or a refresher course. So I remember I was given Missioner Institute, I was given Saskatchewan Polytechnic and a host of other institutions. But mind you, all this also come at a cost, your own cost to be perfect. So I was looking at the institution which I could afford and also the number of years or the duration for the bridging program on the learning plan. So fortunately, I had Saskatchewan Polytechnic, which had 3 months program for histotechnology, and then another 3 months program for transition medicine. So in all, it was 6 months. And another thing was that the longer the duration, the lower the cost of the fees, and the shorter the duration, the more expensive it's gonna be. So because I wanted to finish my PLA within the 2-year period, I opted for the 6 months period. And one thing I must say is this step or this process is financially involving. If you don't have the financial wherewithal, it's going to be very difficult for you to undertake. So I spent $690 on each program. That was in 2022. So both programs had to cost me $1,380 then, Canadian dollars, I mean. I undertook it, and after the 6 months, I started in that same year in September 2022, and I finished in March 2023, last year, after I applied my transcripts from Saskatchewan Polytechnic, and then sent directly, again, the transcript was sent directly to CSMLS. I did not have to do that. Then after they got my transcript, they revised my PLA, okay? So a second PLA had to be issued. And then I remember it was issued in March or April last year, okay? And then my exam eligibility statement was as well issued. So this is where CSMLS is now satisfied that now you meet the Canadian standard, you don't need any bridging course and all that. And now they are comfortable enough to give you an exam eligibility statement to be able to challenge your CSMLS exam. So this was the process. And one difficult thing that came with it is after you've gotten an exam eligibility statement, you ask yourself, how am I going to get into Canada to write the exam? So already I had started a PR process together with PLA, okay? But it was delaying. I was in the express entry pool. I applied last year in November 2020, which I'm still in the express entry pool. And I had to find a way to get here, either to use the school route or probably to get a visit route. So I quickly had to put in a visitor's visa application, and then it was I put in the application last year around October, and then I had the feedback this year, I think February or March, and I had to put things together to come here to take my CSMLS exam. So all in all, this has been the journey. But let me add that I just want to give an overview of the major costs that were involved so that anyone who is planning to take up such a process or to begin such a journey would know that this is what I need to get in place financially before I make the move or start the process. PLA 1 and 2, okay, had to cost around, or the exact figure was 1,850 Canadian dollars. So that was the cost of the PLA. Then the OSA I took also had to cost $63. Everything is quoted in Canadian dollars. Then the refresher course for the 6 months also had to cost $1,380. Then of course, the registration for the exam had to cost 2,200 Canadian dollars. Pardon me, 2,200 Canadian dollars. So all in all, I had to make a rough expense of about 5,493 Canadian dollars. This minus the other expenses I made, which hasn't been captured here. Okay, so you can actually tell that converting this to Ghana cedis in this day and age, where the Canadian dollar is around 12.5, 12.6, you need not less than 70,000 Ghana cedis to be able to, start such a process. Very, very huge. So I think I'll end on this note and I'll say thank you to everyone.
Yeah, Isaac, this is pretty good, man. We're gonna open it up very soon for questions. But Isaac, before I let you off the hook, now that you are in Canada, you've seen the job prospect, you've seen all the data that I just showed you with the rate of $40, $30, and so. Do you think that the journey was worth it? Because somebody might be listening, I'm reading the comments, and people are saying that this is a very tedious process. Based on your experience, did you think this was worth it?
Yeah, Kwabena, it's absolutely worth it. You know, I was not discouraged because I had my eye on the prize. I remember when you were speaking, you said this is a very lucrative profession in Canada, right? So I heard so much, I had read so much about the rates technologies were receiving in Canada. So I really had my eye on the prize, and I knew that I was going to somewhere recoup all this that I have spent back in Ghana. So Kwabena is pretty much worth it.
That's good. That's good. And just one more question though before I open it to the floor. And basically, I know that you say it's worth it. If somebody is on the line right now listening and sort of like caught up in the middle, they're contemplating because the process is too long, is it even gonna work out? What would be your encouraging words to them? Because we seen like other nationalities are doing it, the Nigerians and other different areas too. And I know we have different nationalities on the line as well. What would be your encouraging word to these individuals that are either halfway, about to start thinking about it, and they're very discouraged? What would be your word to them?
Yes, first of all, tell them not to look at the financials for now, because trust me, if you look at the financials, you're going to be discouraged. Just have that determination, have your eye on the prize, that this is the future that I want to build for myself. Of course, I don't want to stay in my home country. And so this is the step I want to take. And we know that every dream, they say, got a price to pay, right? Yes. So once it's your dream and you want to get there, just try. Even if you have to save, okay? Because I remember I had to, how to put it? I had to cut down on a whole lot of expenses, okay? Yes, just so I can save all this dream. Yes. So even if you had to take you saving, if you had to take you borrowing and all that, I think it's worth it. You have to do it so that you'll be able to achieve your dream in the near
Excellent.
future.
Excellent. So now we're just gonna open the floors to individuals. I seen some comments coming in. We're just gonna open it up. The moderators, if somebody, just one person at a time, you raise your hands, and if we can catch you first, you go ahead. We might have some of the answers, and some of them we might not have. So if we don't, we will take notes, and then we'll get back to you. So the floor is open. I think Christian Godson, you have a question. Can you go ahead, please, Christian? Can you speak a little bit louder? We can't hear you. There's a lot of background noise.
Yeah.
Hello? Okay, so Christian is not ready. We'll move on to Julian Amwa. Julian, go ahead, please.
Sure?
Julian,
Yeah.
you're mute. Can you go ahead? Can we unmute Julian Amwa? Yeah, the IT team, can we unmute? Because I think people cannot really say anything. Hello? Yeah, Julian, go ahead.
Yeah, hello, good evening.
Yes, Julian, go ahead.
I would thank all the panelists for a nice interview and bringing this incisive and instructive session. I have a couple of questions that I want to put across. First had to do with the WES evaluation. I've already done a WES evaluation with US. I don't know whether WES evaluation with US is eligible to apply for the Canadian WES, or if the US West is eligible to be applied for the Canadian one. And also sending the credentials from your institution, your educational institution. Is it supposed to be through courier service like FedEx and DHL, or it has to be sent through a specific email address that the CMLS provides? And also, can you elaborate on the timelines involved in the PLA?
Okay. All right. Thank you, Julian. So, Isaac, I don't know if you'll be able to take this on. He has 3 questions. If anyone else is on the line and you are currently going through this process and you want to jump in, you can always jump in. So, Isaac, I don't know if you'll be able to answer some of these questions, please.
Yes, so let me quickly address Julian's questions. The first one has to do with WES evaluation. I understand you've done your WES from US, right? Yes, so I think WES evaluation is WES evaluation. The only thing is, after WES has done your evaluation, WES would directly communicate your results and the results of your evaluation to CSMLS. So that is the part that you have to find a way of allowing WES to do. But if you've done the evaluation, I think there's no need to do the evaluation again.
Okay, and the second question?
The second part is, yes, the mailing process has to do with either DHL or FedEx or any of the mailing companies we have around. You can't do it via email. You have to send the copies. They want hard copies, actually. So you can use DHL, you can use FedEx, any of them. On the timelines, the PLA is valid 2 years. So say if you start in June, if they open your PLA file in June or July as we speak, July 2024, it's going to expire in July 2026. So that is the validity of your PLA. So you have to make sure that within this 2-year period, you'll be able to write your OSA, your online self-assessment exam. You'll be able to gather all the necessary documents and mail it to CSMLS.
Okay, so just to chip in a little bit, with the West evaluation, you have to do it according to the Canadian standard, not the American standard. So because West would ask you where you want them to take your evaluation to. So it has to be in line with the Canadian standard, not the American standard. Yeah, just for clarification.
Yeah, so Julian, that's something that I think you might have to do a little bit more research on that. So for time constraint, let's move on to Mrs. Eva Diodu Dokino, please.
Yeah, good evening.
Hi, good evening.
Thank you for your presentation. Please, I would like to ask, it seems this process is a little bit hectic, as some people are saying, but it's worth it. So I want to find out can I come to Canada, let's say, with a different job opportunity, then whilst in Canada, apply or start all these processes to get into the laboratory field. Is it possible?
Anyone wants to take this on? Is it possible to do the process while you are in Canada? Pretty much that's what you're asking, Eva, right?
Yes, please. Yes, please.
Yeah, I think you can do that. Most of us did it from Canada. It's only Isaac that I know that did it from Ghana. So it's very doable when you're in Canada.
All
I
right.
think
So
it's
please,
also much simple.
yeah, one quick one. So meaning I can apply for, let's say, using the school route, come to, let's say, join a college or university with the school. After that, then that's all these processes, right?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
But just for you to know, CSMLS has nothing to do with your school, how you get to Canada. They have
Oh,
nothing to do with whether you were a
okay.
visitor, a student, or whatever. They don't have any problem with that. As
All
long
right.
as your credentials meet their standards, you're good to go.
All
Okay.
right.
Good. Thank you so much. Let's move on to Adom Dominic. Quick one, okay, Adom. Adom, you're next. Are you there? If not, then Christian Godson. So either Adom you go or Christian Gogson go, whoever is ready. Okay.
Yeah, thank
Hello.
you. Thank you very much for your
Yeah,
presentation.
Christian, go ahead. Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much.
Okay.
Okay, one at a time. Okay, Adom, it looks like you okay. Go, Adom, Dominic.
Okay, so I have two quick questions. Is the process open to only MLSs, or like is it for those who have done a 4-year degree program, or diploma students too can also apply? And my next question is about the OSA. Is there like learning materials you need to go through before taking the exams? Thank you.
Okay, so with the first one, I said when you are a diploma holder, you would be assessed as a medical lab assistant, not as a technologist. So only degree holders are assessed as MLTs, and then diploma holders as MLAs. And then what was your second question, please? Come again.
Learning material.
No, there's no learning material. Once you get registered, they just put out the question and you answer them in 3 hours.
No, he's just asking, is there any way he can get learning material, whether through CSMLS website or somewhere else to support him?
I think I heard also, right?
Dominic, can you clarify the second question, please?
Yeah, I think he said yes, also.
Okay.
Yeah, so with the OSA, they don't give you any learning material. Once you get registered, because it is assumed that you are in the field already. And it's basically questions that you've met before, just to assess your ability if you're in line with PLA or not. So they don't give you any learning material. Yeah, once you get registered, they put out the questions and then you start to answer them.
Okay. So Christian, we're gonna get back to you. I know you've been having some difficulty. One more chance, Christian Godson, please.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, so my question is this. Assuming you are applying from Ghana and you are trying to get a visitor's visa to travel to Canada to go and write the exams, as part of your purpose for traveling, can you say you are going to write an exams, a professional exams, or you have to use something else? Yeah, and looking at the time frame for the exams, the second question is looking at the time frame for the exams. If let's say you are given a very short period of time, and maybe, for instance, you write the exams and you don't pass. First of all, how many times are you allowed to rewrite? And assuming that the time elapsed, can you extend your stay a bit so that you could write it again or something like that? Thank you.
Wow.
Did you guys hear the question?
So,
yeah,
it's a bit confusing, but with what I heard or what I know, CSMLS doesn't give sponsorship for visa. They will only give you a letter just to show that you're coming to write an exam. Whether you're going to be given the visa or not, it's not their discretion. They don't have any power over it. It's only IRCC that is going to determine if they're going to give you the visa or not. Yes, and then I'm Isaac. Can you come in because you did yours from Ghana, and then how did you? What did you say you were coming to do?
Okay, so truth be told, because I was doing PR, I employed the services of an immigration consultant. So because my PR was it was delaying, he had to put in a visitor's visa for me so that I could come right.
You mean the express entry, right?
The express entry. Yes, you're right. Yes, the PR. Yeah, I was actually doing my PR back home before I got here. Yeah. So I honestly do not know what really went into the visitor's visa application, but I remember I gave him my exam eligibility letter from CSMLS. So I believe the reason for traveling would be to come and challenge the professional exam, and probably that is why IRCC approved my visa. But like George said, CSMLS do not give visa sponsorships.
Okay,
yeah, and
so
then For the other
go ahead.
question, I think everyone has 3 attempts. When you are given the eligibility, you only have 3 attempts to pass the exam. So even if you are not successful with the first one, you still have 2 more to go.
Good.
But after those 3, and then God forbid you don't get it, you have to start the whole process again.
Yeah. Okay. Let's move on to Samson Zozi. Samson, you're next, please. Samson, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Yeah, can you go ahead, please?
Yeah, thank you so much. I want to say thank you so much for the opportunity. I've actually met you in person, and you've been really inspired me a lot during the process. And you even connected me to George.
You met who?
This is something. I actually met you in person here in Kitchener.
Samson, yeah.
Samson.
I met you on the street last night.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. I just want to know, I'm in the process of getting mine done, and George has been helping me a lot. And I want to say thank you so much, and keep doing what you're doing. I just want to say a very big thank you to you.
That's good. So Samson, if anybody has also need help, you're also one of the candidates to support as well, right?
Yes. Yeah, I'll be willing to help them with the little that I know. Just for them. I even thought the pre-assessment is free, but when I went to the website, you're supposed to pay $50 for the pre-assessment, though. But just for people to know that it's not free for everything.
Yeah. Okay. So now let's move on to BNU. I'm not sure what BNU stands for, but we got BNU. And also, if your question has been answered, you can put your hand down, so at least we know if there's new people coming in. So, BNU, you want to go ahead, please?
Okay. Thank you very much. I must say, we are very grateful for this enlightenment. It's something we've been hoping to see. So thank you very much on that note. My question is, some of us, those of us who went through the diploma education, that is the 3-year program with what do we call it? Our qualification being medical laboratory technician in Ghana here. Normally, when you are going to the university, you are going for the bachelor's program. Most of the schools, I think you only go for 2 years, then you get your bachelor's program. So are you qualified to apply with this 2-year bachelor's program? The certificate is kind of, let me say, is equivalent to that of someone who went for the 4 years. But then when you submit your transcript, the transcript tells that you did the program for 2 years. Are we eligible to write the CSMLS exams as medical laboratory technologies or scientists? Thank you.
Anybody would like to take it on? Anyone? Or should we take this one down and get back to BNU? I don't know. BNU, you might have to provide your email though in the chat. So if we don't have an answer, maybe.
I was a bit off. Can you come again with the question?
Yeah, he was just asking that if you have a 2-year diploma and back home. I'm not sure exactly where he's speaking from, but I'm assuming it could be Africa somewhere. Like if you have that 2-year diploma, are you still eligible to go through the process and write your exams?
I'm not too sure about that because I know that the diploma from back home has to be 3 years because the 2-year diploma from here qualifies you as an MLA, and that is equivalent to 3 years back home.
So you're saying 3 years of studying in Ghana, for example, is equivalent to a lab technician in Canada, because lab technician in Canada is usually a 9 months to a 1-year program. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. That's good then. We'll move on to the next one. Zoom user. I'm not sure who is Zoom user, but your initial says Zoom user. ZU. If you want to come on, please. Okay, if not, then we still have Godfred and Julian Amwa. Whoever is ready can jump on.
Yes. Hello, good evening.
Hi, go ahead.
Thank you very much. This is Godfred from Ghana.
Go ahead.
I think the question that St. George's just answered, I think the person wanted to ask if you completed an MLT, a 3-year medical laboratory program in Ghana, you did a 2-year top-up. Maybe you go to change your guidance to do a 2-year top-up. Will you be recognized as an MLT, or because of the 3-year medical laboratory from maybe a polytechnic or any other institution, you have to do the MLA because it's not a straightforward.
Okay. My bad. I get the question now. So based on that, you are an MLT now, as in you are an MLS now. So you'll be assessed as a degree holder. But then you would have to send all your documents to West, and after their evaluation and they sending it to CMLS, the decision now rests on CMLS to determine whether you're going to be an MLA or an MLT.
Does that answer the question or no?
Okay, thank you very much. Well understood.
Yeah, I still have these hands up, so let's go again. Dominic, your hands is still up. Christian Godson, your hands is still up. Samson Zozi, your hands is still up. And you guys have all asked your question already. Godfrey, your hands is still up. Do you guys still have questions, or just you haven't put your hands down yet?
I have a question. Can I?
Yes, go ahead, please.
Okay. I think in one of the presentations, the presenter made mention of the fact that you have to send in your training or professional experience. With that one, are you going to send it through email, or it also has to do with career service as well? And that person who is going to send in the professional experience certification or whatsoever, does he or she have to send it through an institutional email address, or any email address can do?
Thank you. You guys want to take it on, George or Isaac?
So with that one, you could do it either through email or through courier service. Which one is convenient for you? CMLS would accept it.
And when it's done through email, is it supposed to be an institutional email address or Gmail, Yahoo?
No, with your professional studies, I think once you doing your prayer assessments, they will give you a link to send every document that needs to be sent by yourself to that email.
Isaac, you want to chip in since you also did it recently? No, look, Isaac is on mute. I have Zoom user, Samson Zozi, and Frank. No, that's all I have. Isaac Obese Asare, your hands are up. Those are the three that I see. Samson, Zoom user, and Isaac Obese Asare. Sorry?
Hello.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, my name is Bismarck. I think I did not rename my Zoom system, so I'm the Zoom user.
Okay, the Zoom user. Go ahead, the Zoom user.
Okay. I wanted to find out, if you complete garden, let me say you are like chemistry student, and then you can see that if you get second class upper, in Canada system they write B, but B they write about they say 70. Over here in Kenris or Garden City, if we get 70, it's A. So it's different. But if we view certain schools like Saskatchewan Porter, that in Ghana you need to get second class Saskatchewan. Yes, I was trying to apply for a school there, and then they were saying that unless you get second class apart from Kenris, let me say that. But second class apart, they'll come and tell you that you need to get 70 that 72 is not second class upper in KNSC or Ghana City. And so I don't understand this particular system of how they calculate their things very well. So if you can clarify me small, I'll be okay enough.
Yeah, so this one I won't just leave it for the panelists, but if anyone is online and they can maybe help the Zoom user, that would be great. So unless the panelists, you can also take this one on. The whole grading system. Anyone? Anyone?
We are
with the grading system, West has to determine. That's why they will do your evaluation of your transcripts. Yeah, because they have to do it to like a universal standard. Ghana has their own way of grading. Canada has their own. Canada has their own way of grading. No, that's okay. So West would now determine that or West would how do I put it? Try to match the Ghanaian credentials to the Canadian one.
Okay. Does that answer your question?
In as much as that they've written in over, if I'm trying to look at their, for instance, choose one particular to look at their portal, as if you are matching to their portal, they are saying that if you're Ghana from a school like KNUST, you have to get at least second class upper division. And then they will come and tell me that second class upper, they will say 70. Over here in Kenya, 70 is not second class upper, or yes, it's first class. And so are they trying to tell me that I should get first class?
So that is what I just said. Myself and you don't know how they do their evaluation. But then however they're just gonna do it to a normal standard. Because for me, the grades that I had back home was not the same grade that I had in my evaluated report.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, so just for the sake of time, maybe if something that you would like to take it off online, Zoom user, and maybe if you want to reach out to, and I think you might to, because I always believe that the transcript has all this subscript underneath it explaining all these things, right? So I don't really know what the issue is, but maybe we can take that offline. And George, maybe you probably can get in touch with George and maybe you can explain it. But for the sake of time, I have Priscilla Ofosu on next, please. Priscilla, go ahead.
Yeah, good evening. I wanted to ask the speaker that he said he had visa for a visitor's visa. Did it come with how do you call it, employment permit, so that you are sure that after you are done writing the exams, you can actually use your certificate to look for employment?
Yeah, that's a good question. Isaac, are you here? I don't know if we lost Isaac. Isaac, are you here? Yeah, from what I know, though, being in the field, if you come here with a visitor's visa, it's pretty much you cannot work with the visitor's visa. That one for sure. So I don't know whether he got any letter that accompany him, but with the visitor's visa in Canada, you cannot work unless you get a job that will give you an LMIA, and then through that process you can start working. But actual visitor visa, no, you cannot work with the visitor's visa status.
Yeah.
Also, we have Dixon Kwade. Dixon Kwade, please.
Okay, good evening.
Yeah, Dixon, go ahead.
I want to know, with regards to the fact that all of our panelists are in the field now, so with what you see now, do you think in the near future CSMLS might tend to open examination centers outside Canada, just like how we have ASCP having exam centers outside US? I want to know, with what you see, do you think in the near future something like that will be done?
Yeah, that's a good question, though. That's a really good question. I'm very, very close to the action, and never say no, but I will give you one example. I also have my ASCP license, and I remember when I did the Canadian one, we had to wait for months to get it. And when I did the American one, right away I got the result. And this was back in 2009, right? And after all these years, Canada is still, because what is even frustrating is that sometimes we have these students, they come to the institution, they finish their training and we want to hire them, right? But now they write the exams and they're waiting for the exams. It's very frustrating. But the American, you do it right away, you get distance. So I wouldn't say never, never say never, but I would say that we are really behind in terms of the electronic format. And all these shortages that we are having here, you'll be surprised that they should have improved the system to a point where you write it, you get the exams, you pass, either you pass or you fail right away, so you can move forward. But even during the COVID time, hectic time, that was never done. That's still, you still have to wait. So I would say, I can predict what the future holds, but I believe eventually we'll get to that level. When? I don't know. Timeline? I don't know. But when I did my stuff about 13, 12 years ago, this is where we still are. I don't know if that helps. Does that help? Okay, if now we move on to the next one, Samsung SM. It doesn't have a name. It just says Samsung M. Your hands are up. So whoever hands are up, you can go ahead and talk. I can't see the name.
Okay, so I just thank you for giving me this opportunity here. I mean, I just got my Zoom, so I didn't edit my name. My name is Gideon, and then thank you. I'm speaking from Ghana. Actually, this question might be a little private for the panelists. I wanted to ask that as they've been through the process and then they are now working in their field, I just want a fair idea about their duration at work and then what they take per hour. It's just a scenario, and then this is not compulsory, but I just want to, if it is possible, they could share it so that I have an idea about the outcome that we could get through at this process.
Okay, I think you missed, I don't know if you missed part of the presentation, but I did show this chart here. Can you see? Can you see? Can you guys see? Hello? Can you see the chart?
Yeah, I think we can see it.
Yes, so I don't know if you're alluding to this question, but this is the pay scale or the pay grade currently in medical lab. And the Canadian median average to start as a medical lab technologist when you have your license, entry level is $36.24 an hour. And then here, mostly we go by scale. So saying your first year, you're making 36. Second year, you get bumped up. So at least it will take you about 8 years, 7 to 8 years to reach the higher pay grade. So as a starting pay, depending which province that you are, you can start from $36, $24 an hour, Canadian average, and then the max, you can go to $45 an hour. And depending which province that you are also, you can start from $25 an hour. So just to answer your question, this is a summary of different provinces, and based on living condition, living standard, and the cost of living, this is what CSMLS, the Canadian job market has determined. Does that help? Okay, I still see Samson, Priscilla, Godfred, Dominic, all you guys, your hands are up. So I don't know if anyone has any other further questions. Whoever that, their hands are up, or just in general, if anyone has any question. Francis, do you have any question? Francis Nacro? I know you've been very attentive. You must have a question. I can't hear you. I think you're on mute. Yeah, you're on mute. Can we unmute Francis Nacro?
He can talk now. I've asked him to unmute.
No, I still see the red speaker sign there. So
yeah, I have to ask him, and he will unmute.
Francis, can you unmute? Okay, so while Francis is getting ready, is there anyone that has any other question? I see Godfrey, Dominic, Samson, Julian. Any questions? And for the panelists, though, if there's no other questions here, what will be your last message to the audience? If you are George, you want to go first? What will be your last message to the audience?
Please, I have a question again before the panelist comes in.
Yeah, who is it? Who is speaking?
This is Julian again.
Julian, go ahead.
Please, I would like to know, for those with the ASCPR credentials, do the CMLS have like a special routes for them, or they also have to go through similar process?
Anyone wants to take this on?
I didn't hear the question. What was it again, please?
Like simply put, if you have ASCPI, can you practice in Canada?
Well, I think CSMLS has to determine that.
Yeah, I can't. Okay, me being in the field, as I said, I hold both of them. So what it is that I hold CSMLS, I hold ASCP. But for example, if I want to go to America and work, then it depends on the state that I want to go in. I will also, based on the state, I think other states have different, criteria and so forth. So then I also will have to get that state license also to be able to practice on that area. Some areas I would not need that area certification. I can just go do it. When it comes from ASCP to CSMLS, I don't know that pathway. But I know I have a friend, Mohammed. We all both have the ASCP. I graduated with him. So he lives on the Canada-US border, and he crosses over to go work in the US because he has the ASCP. On the other way around, I won't have information on that. But I think that's a good question. Anyone wants to add anything? Okay, I have Mike Atabwachi Jr. You want to go ahead?
Hello.
Yeah,
hello.
Mike,
My
go
name
ahead.
is Mike.
Speaking from Ghana?
I'm from Ghana. Yeah, Ghana.
Okay.
I just completed KNUST last year, so I am new to all these things. And my question is, since the whole process requires some form of working experience, so to say, is that supposed to mean that me being a fresh graduate cannot apply?
Yeah, that's a good question.
Yeah, you can apply for your good standing with your professional body and your work experience. That is not a must. It's not like something that is so compulsory that you have to have. So even
Yeah,
as a fresh graduate, yeah, you could apply and then challenge the exam.
So you're saying that you don't need a work experience, you can still go through the process and the CSMLS will determine, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So don't be discouraged then. I think, just put it through and then CSMLS, I guess, will give you feedback on that. Yeah. Any other question?
Godfrey is okay.
I see Godfred still hands up. Adom, Dominic, Christian Godson, Julian Amwa, Samson Zozi. Do you guys have question or your hands are up from previous questions?
This is Godfred.
Yeah,
I have
Godfred,
one
go
more
ahead.
question. Yeah, thank you very much. What I wanted to know is that, or I would like to know is that, how many hours you have in a day, and can you work for other facilities in Ghana? We call working. Can you work for another facility other than the one that you are stationed or working with permanently? Can you do temporary works as a laboratory scientist or assistant
Yeah.
in other facilities aside
Yeah.
the one that you are working with permanently? Thank you.
Yeah, that's a good question. So basically, it depends which jurisdiction that you are. I live in Ontario, so I can speak to Ontario and maybe a couple of provinces. So if you look at Alberta, Alberta has a Alberta health system. So the entire province, it falls under one umbrella. So meaning it doesn't matter whether you're in Fort McMurray, Calgary, or Edmonton, you work for that one entity because it's Alberta Health Services. That's what it is. If you come to Ontario now, we don't have that structure. So every hospital, right now we've seen a lot of amalgamation, meaning that three hospitals might join and become one. For example, University Health Network, that's UHN. It constitutes Princess Margaret Hospital, Toronto General, Toronto Western. So those comes together. So they become that umbrella. So if you apply for that organization, it can work for those three hospitals. So just to answer your question, in Ontario, majority of the hospital will be independent. So you can definitely, yes, I see a lot of people, they will work at Mount Sinai Hospital, and because it's across from Toronto General Hospital, then they will just go work over there as well. Or Toronto Sick Kids Hospital is also right beside it. Then they also would just go and work there as well. St. Michael Hospital is also in downtown. So I see a lot of movement when I was working in downtown, people going from one shift to the other shift. But other provinces where they're more integrated, then if you go there, you're gonna be under one umbrella. I don't know if that answers your question. Yeah. Do we have any other questions? Okay, so
Hey, Kobna,
yeah,
so let me quickly add this. First of all, we would want to thank GAMS, especially all the national executives who could join us online. And we thank you, bosses, so much. And then GAMS would want everyone else to know, since we all aspire to travel out of the country, that once you travel, you still have to keep your records with GAMS. You have to keep them updated, because you can't go out of Ghana and then you would want GAMS to backdate your records for you. That is not going to help. So just for you to know, whether whether you're in Ghana or outside, you have to
Mhm.
keep yourself updated with GAMS.
Mhm.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah. So what about if you're in diaspora and you want to join GAMS? What is the process then? Just on the flip side.
Well, I'm not in tune with that. I guess maybe we have to make a date with our bosses back home to let us know, or they could send their message to our email, and we'll forward it to GAMS to let them know how the process works.
Yeah. Okay, so we're just gonna go one more round. Anyone has any question, or is there anything that we missed, or anything that you can think of that you want to bring it last before the panelists we close this thing up? Or even if you live in UK, Germany, or anything
Hello.
like that, any input?
Hello.
Yeah, who's speaking?
Hello. Yeah, this is Christian Godson. So I have a question. I want to get this clear. Is it that if you come in with a visitor's visa and you finish writing the exams, you pass, you still have to come back to your home country before you can apply for a job or something like that? And then secondly, is there a chance where if let's say you come in for school, and then let's say you have finished with the CSMLS registration, can you work part-time as an MLS? Because I know most of the hospitals, they don't take in part-times, but I don't know if there is a case because of the high demand. I don't know if it's possible to work as a part-time. Yeah, thank you.
could you clarify part-time as in right now you have gone through the CSMLS, and have you passed the exams or you haven't passed the exam? So you come as a student, you hold a student visa, that qualifies you to work 20 hours. They keep changing the rules, but at least 20, 25 hours you can work as a student. So are you asking that while you're a student, now you have gone through the CSMLS and passed, or you haven't passed yet? I just want to know. Are you still there?
Yes, like passed. Assuming you have passed the exams.
You're assuming that you have passed the exams.
Yes.
And then you're still a student.
Yes. Yes, please.
Yeah, that's a good one. Yeah, that one I don't know, but what I do know is saying if you come in as a student and you're still in the process of trying to get your CSMLS, trying to go write the exams. In the hospital, though, the job postings, the ones that I'm familiar with, so just bear with me. So we have two different sectors, the private and then the public sector, which is the government hospital. So the government hospital, the requirement is usually you have to have your program finished, medical laboratory assistant program. The program has to be finished, or you have to be a third year medical lab technologist student. That's usually the job posting that I see. So either the certificate of a technician 1 year or a third year medical lab. So saying, but on the private side, they don't require, I would say, Life Lab and Dynacare. Those are the two biggest private labs that we have in Canada here. Their requirements are a little bit loose. They usually don't require that, like if you're graduated from a medical lab technician program, if you want to become a technician. But usually they prefer those individuals, if you have that, if you have that 1 year and you're they will prefer that over somebody who has not done. So for example, you come from Ghana, you're a medical lab technologist back home, your CSMLS process is still in, and you want to apply. The private labs, yes, for sure. If they're really busy, they can take you as a technician, right, to work, because you don't have to have any sort of a certificate. But on the hospital side now, it becomes very difficult because the requirement is either you hold that 1 year certificate technician or you're a third year student. So I don't know if that answers your question, but that's sort of the criteria that I know in my world.
Okay, so I'd like to chip in here and use myself as an example. So in my case, what happened was I was working in a hospital as I was working in the ward as a ward clerk. And then they all knew that I had my medical laboratory science education in Ghana, but then I hadn't done my certification here in Canada. So when I saw that job opening for a ward clerk, I applied for it. So 6 months into that job, one of the medical laboratory technologists resigned. So the position became vacant, but I still don't have my MLT certification. So I went to see the laboratory manager, and because she already knows that I have a medical lab science degree from Ghana, she was actually very receptive, and then we got talking about what we can do about it. So after everything, talking to HR and everything, they decided to give me a job as a laboratory aide, which was basically a phlebotomist. So my job was just to take the blood samples and all the other samples. Now, as soon as I started that job, I decided that I was going to contact the MLPAO, which is the Ontario body, and ask them if I can take their certification examination as a medical laboratory assistant. So they said, why not? I'll be able to do it. So with the MLPAO, actually that process is very simple. So you send them all the documents yourself. They also need an evaluation report, your resume, a letter from all your employers and all that. So I sent all those things to them, and then I paid the fees, and then I registered for the exams. So I wrote that MLA exams with MLPAO, and I passed. And just like the ASP, the US one, as soon as you are done, you are told whether you've passed or not. So as soon as I was done, I was told I've passed. It was a Friday. So that day, one of my children got ill and we went to the hospital. I mean, I'm in a village, so there's only one hospital here. So we went there. After the doctor saw my child, I went to the lab and told my manager that I had passed my exams. And she was quite excited and everything for me. By Monday, when I went back to work, she had already informed HR that I had passed my exam. She had informed the CEO. She had informed everybody that I passed my exams. And so I went to see the HR and told her that I was interested. And by this time, they had already floated an advert for a medical laboratory assistant. So I told the HR that I have passed my exams and then I'm interested in that position. So, I mean, because I was already in the lab, I wasn't required to do any application or do any interview. I'd already done an interview before I became the phlebotomist. I did an interview, I did a practical examination and everything before they gave me that position. So when the MLA position became available and I got my exams results and everything and told them, they just gave me that position. They just said I should send an email and say I'm interested in that position and then give it. So it's possible to work as an assistant in a setting such as the one that I find myself. Probably I wouldn't have had this opportunity if I was in one of the big cities, like Abna was saying, yes. But where I am is actually a village and people don't want to live here. Like they floated the adverts for medical laboratory technologists and there was not a single application. Nobody applied. Yes, nobody applied. That's how come they did the advert for the MLA as well. So I think that it depends on where you are. And here, as an MLA, you don't just work as a phlebotomist. You're actually doing the job. The only difference is that you don't release results and, you know, do all the things, but you're actually doing the job. You're on the bench and all that. So it actually depends on where you are. Yes. So in my case, doing the MLPAO helped me. In my case, yes, but I don't know about other people and other places as well.
And I think, okay, just to add to what you're saying too, we've seen quite a bit of that in those northern rural areas.
Yeah.
Once they cannot find a technologist, sometimes they will change the job code and make it as a technician.
Yeah.
And then they will hire the technician. And as you're saying, the technician, you're actually in the lab. You're not releasing no results, but you can still run the QC, you can do the maintenance and do all those things. So you become more of like, you know, you're doing almost everything. You can load the samples. It has to be auto-release. It can be auto-release. So I think that's one of the ways that we have kind of float during the COVID time when we're really, really desperate. A lot of places hire MLAs to do a lot of the jobs that the MLTs were doing previously. So I think that was a good one. So yeah. Thank you. Yeah.
Right.
Eva, your hands are up again. Eva and Julian. Okay, so it looks like maybe we might not have any other questions. We still have about 135 people on the line. So we're just gonna conclude. So I will start with George. If you have any any closing remarks before we close this.
So I think I just have to let everybody know that
there's some questions. There's some questions coming in. Coming Folder, Nicholas, and Techno. Anyone can go.
I think we have to make a cutoff for the questions because
Yeah. Well, just a quick one. Let's take 3 more. That's it. Quick one. Techno, Nicholas, or Mame. One. Yeah, go ahead.
Mrs. Eva, you can talk. Yeah.
All right. Yeah, I'm Eva. Please, as Akia said, I would like to ask if you could provide us with some sites that we could apply for jobs to work in the hospital setting, not even if it's not really MLP or MLS, just to be in the hospital setting with a site where you could apply for a job as international applicants. I'll be very grateful for that.
And Eva, where are you located?
Ghana, speaking from Ghana.
Okay. Okay, did you hear what she said?
I think the jobs, Indeed, there are some of the jobs posted on Indeed. But being in Ghana and applying for a job here, I don't know much about it, but I guess it would be quite difficult for them because if they give you the job, I don't know how you're going to, they'll have to now do this LMIA process, and it's a whole long process for the organization. And a lot of the hospitals or a lot of organizations don't want to do that because it's expensive for them. And if they can find someone who is already in Canada to work as an MLA, I mean, why would they spend all that money on you just to make you come in and work? So usually I don't know about anybody else, but I don't know if Kwabena, you've seen anyone who has been employed from Ghana to come and work as an MLA or something in Canada. I haven't seen anyone like that yet.
No, not really, not to that extent. But I think another thing that the panelists were talking about is the express entry, right? Because I think the Nigerians do quite a bit of that, being able to have that express entry route and come in with your PR. But just hiring directly from outside Canada, I haven't come across that. No, not in my practice so far. Yeah. Just we take one more and that's it, because I think time is kind of beating us. One more. Okay. If not, then George, go ahead then. Go ahead and just wrap up.
I don't know.
Okay. So just like I was saying,
Yeah.
I think it's a hectic and long process, but just don't be deterred by it. Keep be determined, keep yourself focused, and then just know that you got this. You can do it. Yeah, just know that you can do it because you've heard testimonies from people who are going through the process, both here and outside of Canada, and then I believe that everyone else can also do it.
Yeah, good one. Yeah, how about you?
Okay, so I'd like to encourage everyone to go to the CSMLS official page, their website, and I think it's www.csmls.org. Go there. There's a lot of information there about everything we've spoken about today is on that page. So you go there, you will see the prior learning assessment handbook. You can download it, read it at least twice, and be abreast with every information there is, and then you can move from there. Like George said, it's a tedious process, it's a difficult process, but once you put your mind to it, you'll be able to do it because others have done it.
Sure.
Yeah, I don't know if Isaac is still on the line though. Isaac, you want to chip in if you're still online? Okay, if not, I'll just go. I think all the other panelists have already
Isaac
said.
is kind of unavailable at the moment. Yes, so yes, I think he also encouraged everyone to do it. I mean, he did it from Ghana, so you can start anywhere you are. You don't have to be in Canada to start this whole process. So you can start wherever you are, and then you just have to come to Canada to write the exams. You can't write the exams anywhere else. You have to come to Canada to write the exams. So you can start wherever you are. Just start the process. Yeah.
Yeah, just my last remark will be there's a high demand for medical lab professionals in Canada for the next 10 years. And also as an individual, you can also use the prior learning assessment and eligibility criteria to become a certified member of CSMLS. And also while you're in Canada, you also have to explore other provinces. To all these now, the thing that I see quite a bit because I'm very close to the field is that I see that other nationalities are really doing it. They're taking advantage of some of these programs in here. So I would like to talk to my fellow Ghanaians also. As much as this might be a tedious process, I think if we can, I think the Nigerians have really come together and they're doing a lot of these things, especially with the express entry. And a lot of them comes here with a permanent residence already. So what advantage that gives is that once you're already permanent residents, that means that even your family, they also will be qualified to come with you to Canada, depending on which age group they are. So I would definitely strongly encourage you that I always say that, for example, right now we're in 2024, eventually 2029 will come. But while we are in that 5-year period or 3-year period, what are you going to do in between? either way, 2029 will come. So why don't you just take that baby step like Isaac did, upload your documents slowly, and at least you can go through the express entry. At the end of the day, you still have your job that you were doing wherever that you are. It's just a matter of taking a day and chipping this right away, day by day, putting your express entry in. The next thing you know, a year comes in, 2 years comes in, you're not losing anything because you already got a job. And then once that goes through, then you're gonna be eligible to come here with yourself and your family or your husband or your wife, and then life becomes a little bit more easier. What I've seen is that the Nigerians, they come in within 2 years or 3 years already owning properties and all these things. Is even more faster than coming with a different route. So I would definitely encourage everyone that right now is 2024 July. Start this process now, and then eventually 2-3 years, you should be able to come here with a permanent residence that will cover your family and your loved ones also. So that would be just sort of my last encouragement words to everyone that's online, wherever that you are. I think Akosi, I don't know if you're there. Akosi, if you want to say the last word, and then we guess, or anyone else would like to say the last word. Akosi.
Akwesi, I don't know.
Yeah, okay. If not, Frank, anything?
Okay, not so much, but what I want to say is that now there are opportunities everywhere, but what I want to say is you need to sacrifice a lot, and also it's time involving, but it's worth it wherever you want to go. Now, like in Germany now, this opportunity card, we also said about it. And I have seen people from Togo coming in with it. I told my colleagues in Ghana, and they were like, this German language and the rest. Always our Ghanaians have excuse to everything. Yeah, but know that nothing comes easy. You need to sacrifice a lot before traveling. Yes, it involves money and also to learn, enhance your skills everywhere you want to go. So it's not so easy. If you want the easiest path, like visiting, it's not the best. Come in with your professional skills so that you can really have a good life abroad. Yeah, so I want to encourage everyone to also explore these opportunities. Take your time, gather every document as said, and put in your application. Don't be in a rush to do anything. I think it's worth it. Yeah. So that is all I want to say. Yeah. Thank you.
Okay, so this will be our last mark there. Thank you very much, everyone. If you want to get in touch with us, I believe Akwesi did send the email. So that will be the pathway to go in. If you also search us through LinkedIn, if you search me LinkedIn, Kobina Boateng, you should be able to find me there and other panelists as well. But all the questions can go through the email that you received through Akwesi and then the handling group. So thank you guys very much for your time. I really, really appreciate it. And we're hoping to see more of you guys one day in Canada and really, really make sure that we can bring this knowledge that we're gaining from here to also go back and better our country. So thank you, and God bless our homeland, Ghana. Thank you.
Thank you.
Right.